finally have it set up right so that it'll auto post to Twitter that we're going live.
Yay!
But yeah. So yeah. A lot of weird stuff so far this week.
And it's only Wednesday.
And it's only Wednesday. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I need to
Past halfway to the end.
Correct, because I don't count Saturday and Sunday.
Nope.
Not that it matters to me. I don't do anything.
Oh, by the way, the hutch looks very, very, very nice.
We received a China hutch from Megan's grandmother's.
Uh-huh.
So we have a hutch now in the sort of dining area, which basically means there's a lot more shelves and drawers to just put stuff in and on.
Here we go.
Yeah. Storage space. Woo!
It looks very, very nice in that corner.
Yeah. So, all right.
Yeah.
We ready?
Yeah.
Do it.
I'm going live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Coming up on episode 176, another round of D&D subclasses. Reggie joins GameStop, Mythical Odysseys of Theros, and much, much more on the 8-Bit Adventures podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the 8-Bit Adventures podcast, bringing you the latest and greatest geeky news of the week. I am your host, Sean Hayes, and with me are my two wonderful co-hosts, as always, Courtney Bolin.
Hey, everybody.
And returning back once again, Josh York.
The returning champ. I don't know what I'm the champ of, but something.
So actually, so there is something. I can't remember who we were discussing it with. But I have a thing for you, Josh. The discussion came up of like, it was with our friend Sabrina.
Yes.
Okay.
So while Courtney and Megan and I were down in Disney, we met up with her. She used to teach up here as well.
Okay.
And she was talking about how like her students seem to just like take everything they see on TikTok at face value.
Yeah.
And I was like,
sounds about right.
what if you utilize that? And I was like, oh, that's just right up Josh York's alley. It's just like no longer bound by the school system.
No longer bound by the administrative restraints.
Yes.
Is
of the
Become
state
a
of
TikTok
Massachusetts.
basically
Become a
now
TikTok teacher.
you could do mini bite-sized TikTok courses on like a very specific subject.
You know what I thought,
And you
when I
could be an
started
absolute meme
streaming?
lord doing so.
I thought about like, is there a way that I could use my stream and like make it semi-educational and try to pull in that demographic of like middle school, like upper elementary kids somehow? I thought about that. I just don't know how to do that.
And I was like, it's basically learning with memes with Josh York.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, so that's kind of sort of the big stuff is that so Courtney and I went to Disney World. We went to Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah.
Finally got to go. Megan came with us. My parents went with us to get us into the park. Sadly, did not get to do any of the new rides at Galaxy's Edge because they have this like weird virtual queue thing.
Yeah.
That I don't know what it is. It's like
different from Fast Pass.
Yes.
And
Like
that's,
I would have
the
thought that the
weird
Fast
part about
Pass, that Fast Pass nowadays is basically like a virtual queue. But like when we got to the park, before we even got into the park, when we got out of the parking lot, they had like a sandwich board sign that said all virtual queue spots for Rise of the Resistance are gone.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't even know what this means.
And this was at like 9:30 when the park opened at 9.
And I was like, I don't understand what any of this means. And then, but then, you know, we got like right into that area. It wasn't actually very crowded. I was surprised, because
in the shops were a little crowded.
I mean, that's par for the course though, for any Disney shop. You can't move.
I was just about to say, yeah, that was kind of par for the course. Although one of them, the one where you can build like the high-end lightsabers and stuff, that store actually had a queue outside of it. It was like, oh gosh, what was it? It was
well, there was also the cantina. The cantina had like bouncers and a line outside, like a New York nightclub.
You had to have reservations.
Yeah, but yeah, it was. And then as far as Smuggler's Run was, I tried to get on like single rider because I was the only person that would have been able to do it, and they weren't accepting single riders for whatever reason, which seemed odd to me. They were just like, yeah, you just got to go back through the regular queue, and it was like wrapped around the Falcon and like behind another thing, and it wrapped around this other place, and I'm like, it's too much. It's too much.
Yeah.
It kind of kicks. I'm kind of kicking myself that we didn't go on Thursday. Instead, after basically the new like Mickey Mini train ride opened, because and that we went later in the day, because apparently like 45 minutes to park closing, there were no waits for either of those rides.
Yeah.
Because everybody was still waiting to get on the train ride. It was like 45 minutes to official park closing, and there was a 180-minute wait for the sort of train ride that replaced the Great Movie Ride.
So a 3-hour wait.
Which
with 45 minutes left in the park.
Yeah, and what happens is they just keep that queue open, and they don't let anybody else get on.
So it's
but basically, cast members still have to process those people and continue that ride running until everybody gets through.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because I remember I was like, is it like voting where like if you're in line after the polls close, like you can still vote? And yeah. Because that's what I equate that to. But no, it was a good time though. I got lots of pins. Lots and lots and lots of pins. Yeah, and we got on a good amount of rides over the week. So
yeah,
I know we did. Sean, you know the rides better than I do.
Well, so let's see. We did the Enchanted Tiki Room. We did Pirates of the Caribbean. We did Buzz Lightyear's Space Ranger Spin, Toy Story Mania.
Is that the one where you shoot with the guns?
Yep.
That's a good one.
So Toy Story Mania and Buzz Lightyear are both sort of like arcade shooters. Yep. The Buzz Lightyear one is like you have a weird space gun that has it's a trigger button on the handle that you push with your thumb, so it's a little weird.
Yeah, that was good.
The Toy Story one is a like a pop gun pull string, so you can game the system by going like da 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 and like just
Yeah.
Boy.
It looks wrong.
Or right.
But not gonna deny that.
Yeah.
That's how yours truly racked up like 150,000 points compared to 80,000 and I don't know. I thought you got lower than that.
Nope.
Okay.
I got like 80.
All right. That was on Buzz then.
Oh yeah.
I don't remember this one, but I remember the other one.
Yeah.
No, Buzz,
I would have remembered that.
Yeah. And that was
I only got about a little under 8,000 points. I think.
And the idea is with Toy Story Mania, it's like all carnival game type stuff. So it's like Some of them are like you're throwing darts at balloons. Some of them are you're shooting like Nerf balls at targets or ring toss
the
or
ones
whatever.
that are, like drop the ducks
Yep.
or
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. And then at Epcot, we did the Living Seas and the Land. I think that's it.
Yeah.
Oh, and Spaceship
Yeah.
Earth.
Yes.
We did Spaceship Earth. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
what was the other Star Wars ride that we did?
Oh,
do one
we did Star
Wars ride.
Tours. We did do Star
Yes.
Tours. Which fun fact, nowhere near Galaxy's Edge. Boggles my mind is like they have this whole Star Wars section, like Star Tours and a Star Wars shop in one section of the park. And then you have to like go through 2 other sections to get to Galaxy's Edge, where all the other Star Wars stuff is. And I was like, that seems super inefficient in terms of space.
I bet they get rid of Star Tours and put something similar in Galaxy's Edge. Or just move it to Galaxy's Edge.
What I'm thinking that they might end up doing is utilizing space behind Star Tours and having that connect to Galaxy's Edge, because they're still constructing that hotel.
Okay.
The big Starship Hotel that they're putting in there.
Right.
That's not done yet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that somehow will have like direct park access kind of a thing. So, but yeah, if they don't do that, yeah, I could see them basically like moving Star Tours into that section.
Yeah.
It's just weird because like you go from Star Wars and you have to go through like Muppets.
Yes.
In order to get to Galaxy's Edge.
Muppet Show too.
Yes.
Muppets are Disney?
Yes.
Yes, they are.
I didn't know
Muppets.
that.
So
I always forget that too.
there has been a Muppet attraction at Hollywood Studios since its opening in 91 or 89, whichever one that is.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, it was before Disney owned them. They had a partnership with
the Jim Henson Studios.
Yeah, Jim Henson's studios.
Okay.
It's like along with it's like Disney, Spielberg, like Lucasfilm, and Jim Henson Studios like all had this partnership for a lot of stuff. I think it was more of the Lucasfilm stuff, which is why Star Wars and Indiana Jones were there. So, but yeah, as far as the crowds weren't too bad. They were a lot better compared to, I saw photos from a friend of the podcast, Joey Image, went down there. And it was just a sea of people trying to get in to that entryway, that initial tunnel into Galaxy's Edge.
Oh, that would have been, I wouldn't have liked that.
It did not look fun.
No.
And that was like right at the park opening too.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No.
So.
Yeah, that was one thing that I was very fortunate about is yes, the crowds, like there was the parks were busy. But unless I was like in the shops, which were just always, they were all crammed, yeah. But unless I was in the shops, I never felt like
claustrophobic.
Like, yes, I always felt like I had room to do what I needed to do.
Yeah.
Which was nice. Especially because I was going with, I was around with my walker, and I would not have been able to not do the parks without it.
Yeah.
So it was very nice to be able to not feel that claustrophobic and not feel that like in a mob kind of feel.
Yeah.
So, but it was an
and so
time.
I did come back with one of the novelty Coke bottles, the big round ones. I will probably be using this for D&D potion props because it's a nice potion bottle size. Courtney got a porg.
I did.
Like a real live one.
No, he's a shoulder porg.
Courtney was weirded out by the ones that moved and talked and did not get one.
They're weird. I am not a porg fan.
I am totes a porg fan, and I wanted one that was like life size, but the ones that were life size had like mechanics in them and were like puppet and like mechanical things, and it was weird, and it wasn't cuddly and soft like I wanted my porg to be. So I ended up getting a shoulder porg, which they actually also came with. They have a magnet on their bottom, and then they come with another magnet, so you can like hook them on your shirt and stuff. And so they're
Magnets.
there.
How do they
I
work?
thought about getting a group. Well, my porg, whom I named Friendo, then sat on my walker for the rest of the week, and came around with me. It was very helpful, actually, as we were continuing everything, because I was able to tell my walker apart when we got off of rides. Um, and then I also did a lot of pin trading. Yeah.
If y'all thought Courtney had a dice problem, let's talk about Courtney's pin problem.
I don't think I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot.
Yeah. There was the yeah, I'll catch up with you. I'm just gonna stop in here and go do this and that, and I'd catch up with him like a half hour later.
3 hours later.
Yeah.
So
But then I also got a Dale. I got a Dale chipmunk. So
yeah,
I'm super excited. I also got a baby Dumbo. But he's in the other room right now.
my stuff was a little less exciting. I also got it was a sort of droid factory shirt. Looks like a mechanic shirt.
Yeah,
It's
really
like a
nice.
blue collared shirt. It's like the same material. It like looks like the same exact shirt that like our press guys wear at work. But it has like droid factory, and it's got like 8 pockets. It's got like sleeve pockets. It's got pockets on the sleeves, and then like 2 pockets on the right hand side, and then like another pocket on the left hand side. But yeah, it's nice. That was it as far as exciting stuff. The rest of the stuff was like shoes.
Yeah.
More shirts. But yeah. So that's enough about our trip to Galaxy's Edge, because we've got a whole bunch of news and discussions.
Yeah.
So right off the bat, let's start with let's call this the dark horse of the news topics right here is the Reginator joining GameStop's board of directors, and what, like, maybe he'll help save GameStop. Maybe it's just a PR move to kind of boost sales in the short term. I think if anybody could potentially, so here's what I think Reggie could certainly do is maybe steer the board and management away from decisions that they've been making to customer detriment. Because I know, because like at Nintendo and at Pizza Hut, Reggie gave us the Bigfoot pizza, right?
And the Big New Yorker.
Everything's
big with Reggie.
Reggie seems to be
worries me, actually.
He seems to be very, very customer focused, sort of businessman.
Yeah.
So the hope is that maybe he can at least help drive some course correction that maybe it won't save the company, but at least it might go out on a high note as opposed to being universally hated.
I have feelings about GameStop.
I have no strong feelings. I go there, I buy a game, I leave. That's it.
No. See, corporate level GameStop. I love our local GameStop. Was just there the other day. Spent about 45 minutes in there just hanging out.
Yeah.
But I have issues with corporate, and I hope that Reggie coming in, because he does pay attention to the guest experience.
Yeah.
I greatly hope that this does not even more negatively affect the staff service. Like,
I don't think it will.
I hope that it doesn't.
On the
is
flip
my
side,
only thing.
it's on the board of directors and it's not like in a direct management position.
Mm-hmm.
I know,
So
but
what we'll be seeing is a lot more sort of indirect influence and pressure, I
Yeah.
think.
Best
but
thing
know
I
that
saw was
that pressure is really bad sometimes.
it was, I don't know, it was some Reddit post, and it was like Reggie walks into his first board meeting, and it's just like the meme of Reggie's going, "What's wrong with you?"
Yeah, of just everything.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, you know, I
want Reggie to go back to Pizza Hut. I want the Bigfoot pizza. I want the Big New Yorker. I want it back.
Okay, I remember.
I just
the
want to be back to the
ads.
'90s. That's all. That's
Okay,
all I want.
I remember the ads or hearing about the Big New Yorker. What was the Bigfoot pizza?
party pizza.
It's just a party size.
That's basically what it is. Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
So you know how Big Y has the big square
Yeah.
rectangular party pizza? That's the
Mhm.
Bigfoot.
Yeah.
But it's Pizza Hut pizza.
Oh.
Yeah, that's all it is.
Okay, yeah, I was not conscious at that point in time.
Yeah.
I mean, you were probably pretty young.
I was not conscious of the world at that point in time. I was a member of the world. I was not conscious of it yet.
But it was like it was one of those things where like after it came out, like you didn't call them party pizzas. Like it was you just like because you were a kid, it was just like, "Oh yeah, let's just get a Bigfoot pizza."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Well, we're ordering from Domino's. It's a Bigfoot
And
pizza."
it was 1993.
I also
and there was
think.
a commercial with Haley Joel Osment.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's pretty
That
90s.
sounds that's
Uh,
our 90s. Yeah.
The only
I
more
feel
90s it
like-
could have gotten was with Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
Oh my JTT baby!
Yeah, boy.
On the front of that tiger beat.
Yep.
For his work in Lion King.
No, Home Improvement.
Both.
Oh,
Both.
we've had this conversation before about Reggie, but he also did something with like the demo discs or something, the PlayStation demo discs with Pizza Hut or something.
Yes.
I wonder if he had anything to do. Remember where you used to read books and go get a pizza at Pizza Hut
Yes.
when we were in school?
Yes.
I don't, but I
I
have heard you
do.
tell the story before.
That was the only time I got Pizza Hut was when Courtney did the book thing.
Yeah,
Yep.
Book It. Was it called Book It?
I want to say
Uh,
yes.
I can't
Hold
remember.
on.
But there was something where you like read X amount of books
Mhm.
or something, and you'd go to pizza and get it. Wasn't you got a personal pizza, like a personal pan pizza?
Yeah, it was Book It. It was the Book It program. Yeah,
Which
you got
I'm- I'm surprised that I didn't know anything about this program because like there was a
There's
Pizza,
a Pizza
Hut.
Hut in Lee,
There was. It was right down
Yeah.
the street from my house. I could walk to it
right?
because I basically live downtown.
I lived in
Yeah.
Cheshire. We had to drive to Pittsfield.
Yeah.
I lived in Windsor.
Not that it was
we had to
terribly
drive
far,
to
but-
Augusta, which was 45 minutes away.
It's only like a 15-minute drive from Cheshire to Pittsfield, but still.
But yeah, no, the Book It challenge or program thing.
This just in, friend of the podcast, Recordian, just said Book It is still around.
Hey,
Yeah,
do you still get Pizza Hut pizza?
You can. Yes.
Can you do it as an adult? What if you're a university student? Ah,
there we
The
go.
way you think. I like the way you think.
Is the proof that you just have to have a student ID? Because I still have a student
No,
ID.
little kids don't have.
It's
little
not a
kids don't
valid
get
ID,
student
but
Little kids
do.
didn't get student IDs.
they do have them now, but they're usually kept in the teacher's desk. They don't use them often.
yeah.
Yeah. Book It was for homeschoolers too.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if Reggie had any part in that. That was my point for that whole tangent.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, was Reggie part of Book It?
I don't know, but apparently in 2011, Justin Bieber read Cat in the Hat for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
But
like
yeah, it is still
Justin
around.
Bieber. Justin Bieber looks like the guy at the work site who disappears after he gets his paycheck.
Yep. Um, but yeah, so apparently according to NBC Washington, starting this school year, which was the beginning of this current school year that we are in, um, teachers could give young readers digital reading award certificates that they could redeem for dining at Pizza Hut.
Psh, dang.
So yeah,
I think it was started before Reggie's tenure there.
Oh well.
it was created in 1984.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So there we go.
Mhm.
So it's awesomeness that predates Reggie at Pizza Hut.
Mhm. But yeah, no, I got very, very, very little delivery, quote unquote, because there was no such thing as delivery when I was a kid. It was, you know, it got a little bit more common as we were going into town more. But when I was little, it was pretty rare for us to get any kind of thing like that. So I remember the times when I would, and you had that little card and you'd like redeem it and you'd bring it into them and
I don't remember I just remember it in general.
yeah, no, I remember redeeming because that was when I actually would end up getting Pizza Hut pizza. Because otherwise we were a DiGiorno style family.
Oh, I ate so much friggin' frozen pizza as a kid,
Yeah.
and chicken nuggets and hot
Oh,
dogs. Mostly because we were kind of poor, but
We
no shame in it.
we didn't really do frozen pizza, just because like half of the businesses in Lee are pizza places.
Yeah, see, that's the big difference between like I didn't have
I had 3
anything.
different pizza places in walking distance of my house.
what's the
There
best pizza
was no such
place
thing
in
as
Lee?
walking distance.
The best pizza place now?
Yeah.
Well, so here's the thing: is most of them have closed by now.
I was gonna say, 'cause I can't
probably
think of any.
Athena's at this point is one of
Is
the few
that the
places.
one?
It's the
Where's
one like
that?
right. It's so if you're going
By the hardware
on
store.
So Athena's is so you go down Main Street and you do that like
Yeah.
weird left turn,
Yeah.
and then you go around the corner.
Oh, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
the
just
little-
past. It's just after you turn around the corner.
Okay. Yeah, I think I know. What you're
Yeah.
talking. Yep.
I mean Vivaldi's is in Lee now though. I don't like their pizza, but
They're all right.
and
But yeah, no, see, you
There's Big
had
Y.
things
I
within
hate Big
walking
Y's pizza.
distance. I didn't have a walking distance.
Yeah,
I'm gonna shout
we
out
know.
Papa Joe's, Newell Street, Pittsfield. Best pizza in Pittsfield. Now that Pizza Jim's and Adams has been gone, that was the best in the county, but Papa Joe's gets it.
At some point, when we where Megan and I will do Lanesboro pizza on an episode of Berkshire Bites, and then we'll truly know who has the best pizza in Berkshire County.
Lanesboro
And
pizza's not bad.
it's Lanesboro pizza.
They're all right. They're pretty good.
So anyway, wildly off topic. So why don't we dive into some D&D news?
Yes.
No.
All right.
I hate D&D.
So let's just do a quick recap of these subclasses, because this is a little bit of older news, but so we got part 3, once again, just rapid fire subclasses. So this makes me think that we have like some kind of other like Xanathar's type book in the works that they're just like spitballing all these different subclass ideas for. But we got the Armorer Artificer, which is basically Iron Man. Circle of Stars Druid, which is like you turn into a constellation and then do
Sounds
like
hot.
different effects based on which constellation you turn into. You also get a mystical star chart that allows you to be like an oracle. And the Fey Wanderer Ranger, which is you're a ranger that gets like charm magic and deals psychic damage with a bunch of stuff.
I just imagine the that Star Druid as is basically Elgalon.
Yes. That's very much like what it is. Like all
That's
those celestial type people in Warcraft, yeah.
Yeah. That's totally what I imagined.
Yeah, it's like you spend your wild shape to turn into a constellation that gets bonuses.
Okay,
And it's like
so
you assume like this.
Are we talking like Ursa Major? You turn into a big bear type of like.
No, it's
turn into the or you
it's
turn into a bunch of stars.
You remain humanoid shaped, but like your skin turns like inky black and everything, and like slightly incorporeal, and you get like stars that start twinkling over your body.
I don't know how I like that.
It's cool. It's a
like
it's a
it
thing.
A lot.
Yeah. I think out of these three, Armor Artificer is the top choice for me. Just
I actually like the idea. I've looked over them still a little bit, just the names of things.
And
like
basically it's
the Fey Wanderer
all
Ranger.
about so Armor Artificer is all about it gives you like augmentations for the armor, so you can be like it gives you a stealth option or a tank option. As well as you get additional Artificer infusions that you can have active as long as they only target your armor.
It just doesn't visually do it for me, Josh. It just doesn't.
Is there something in the chat?
And I just posted like Algalon art.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Or the Algalon mount that was like one of the first like paid for mounts that poop stars.
Of course.
It's as you're riding along, Courtney, there are little stars that like fall off of it and like trail behind you. But it looks like it's pooping them.
I would rather have a unicorn that poops rainbows.
Diablo 3.
Yeah.
There you go.
That bad unicorns. But yeah, so that's up right now. I believe all those subclasses are also in D&D Beyond for review. So yeah. I hope they all make the cut and make it in. I think the only one that I would actually make a character for is the Armorer one, but Driz in the chat saying he's super keen on the Circle of Stars druid. Courtney's saying Fey Wanderer Ranger. You get surrounded by like sparkly butterflies and make people live their nightmares. So that's apparently you do what you do.
Yeah.
But then what shocked me was we got kind of with a very little fanfare another campaign setting announcement. That was also leaked by it was some kind of like Penguin House, I think.
Yes.
It was some
Penguin House or Random House. Penguin House sounds right.
Basically leaked it this time instead of Amazon, and everybody was like, "Oh no!" So the newest D&D setting is Theros, which is also the latest Magic the Gathering setting. So once again, another crossover setting, which I thought was a novel idea for Ravnica, and that Ravnica's been around for a while, had an interesting sort of hook into it with the guilds and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think doing another Magic the Gathering setting so soon after Ravnica might be a little bit of a misstep. But at the very least, it does have strong flavor in that it's very strongly Hellenistic inspired.
Yeah, I mean, I look at it this way, at least it's a different setting. It's a new setting to use and to jack stuff from. So that's cool. I think a lot of like D&D faithful are mad that it's not.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, everybody's itching
Dark
for
Sun or.
I think I think the community
or whatever.
The community at large, I think, is itching most for Dark Sun. I feel like at this point, like there are people that are Dark Sun or Spelljammer, slash Planescape. I feel like those two get lumped kind of into the same one. I
mean, they're probably the more unique two out of all the other ones. The other ones are pretty much like medieval fantasy.
And like Greyhawk is so like what makes Greyhawk unique is that it was the first one.
Right.
and that I had, we'll call it an argument with our friend Tuck on Facebook about
Oh, that's what we're
why
calling that?
why Greyhawk. And he brought up like the Greyhawk, or sort of living Greyhawk, which was basically it's something that I don't think would really work in this day and age, but it was like, it was a combination of organized play, and that wizards would change the setting over the course of this organized play campaign that would affect everybody. And I think the last time they tried to do that was like with Forgotten Realms in 4th edition, and that backfired horribly. And so, and I think just because they're focusing on Adventure League as their organized play, I don't think we'd see a living quote unquote setting.
Yeah.
These days. Because it takes a lot of work to constantly update that stuff.
That's what your homebrew group's for. That's what your groups
basically
are for.
Yeah. And then Dragonlance is a whole licensing nightmare these days. That nobody actually knows where most of the rights fall under. Is I have a bunch of 3rd edition books that weren't like, they were sort of done by, they were done by Sovereign, like in partnership with Wizards, but like Wizards logo only appears on there in the same way that it would for like a third party book. So it's all weird. So unfortunately, I as much as I would love to see Dragonlance come back, I don't know if we'll see it anytime soon. I think if they're going to revive another classic setting, I feel like Dark Sun's probably the one that would come next, but it's also probably ways out given how long it's taking them to do psionic stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I feel like with how long it took them to get like the Artificer right for Eberron, I feel like we're going to see the same thing with psionics for Dark Sun. So we might like Dark Sun might be another couple of years out. And I think Chris Perkins and Jeremy Crawford just love trolling us with Spelljammer tidbits too much to actually give us a Spelljammer setting. And I forgot to put this in note. And apparently Larian Studios as well. Because Recordian shared with me basically the Baldur's Gate 3 sort of gameplay trailer.
I didn't know.
And that's just Spelljammer, just 100%.
Yeah, the trailer's rad.
Yeah.
We should talk about that a bit. Have you guys talked about that at all?
We have not.
Baldur's Gate 3?
No.
Yeah, so last week, I think it was last week, they did like a gameplay demo of Baldur's Gate 3. The intro video is basically tentacle ship is chased by dragons. That's it. There you go. Imagine what you like from there.
It's a Mind Flayer tentacle ship, which is a thing in Spelljammer. It's like their main sort of craft. Like basically opens almost like a warp gate above Baldur's Gate, and appears, and then is chased by a Githyanki Red Dragon war party.
Yeah.
Who then like basically try and destroy the ship and perform like a rescue mission.
Rescue the Githyanki that's on like captured or whatever that they're trying to because the Mind Flayer's trying to make more Mind Flayers apparently.
Yes. So yeah, that was a take that I did not expect for that game.
I think it's rad. I'm super disappointed that the gameplay is a lot like Divinity because I'm not super into it.
Oh, I mean, yay for me.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people love it, so yay for them, man.
Yeah.
I don't like the turn-based. Here's my problem with turn-based. I don't want to stop and like every little fight have to like go through turns. That's why I like real time and pause, because like sometimes there's like simple fights that you don't have to think through too much and you just like let it go. I don't want to, do everybody's move in every single turn. And sometimes it's just a bit tedious for me.
Yeah.
But that's just me. Divinity Original Sin 2 was super, super popular. I'm definitely on the outliers on that one. So
yeah,
take that for what it is.
It doesn't surprise me though if it's Larian working on it.
Oh yeah.
And I have to say, I feel like if you're going to take D&D and turn it into like a turn-based RPG, that system is probably the best system to use for it. Especially with how much stuff you can do with the environment in combat in those games. But yeah. So yeah.
Setting wise, like rad. I'm totally into the whole setting of that, and like the mind flayer deal, and you're fighting the little brain guys in the beginning, and
yep,
I'm into that. But
and they said it at some point after the events of Descent into Avernus. So like it's meant to tie into those events, like sort of, at least like where in the timeline it exists for Baldur's Gate. So
cool.
But yeah, to bring it back to Theros, you know, I mean, this is a game I'll probably pick up on Beyond. I don't know if I'll get a hardcover for it, but it will have some. It'll have some subclasses, lots of magic items. I'm curious to see what they do. They make a big play about like the gods and having to appease the gods because it's Hellenistic, and so if you don't appease the gods, they will
Yeah.
Yes.
So to see how that looks, because yeah, from what I understand, the from the magic setting, these gods are kind of jerks, even more so than Greek gods.
I mean, Greek gods are.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. So,
Just stay away from Zeus and you'll be fine.
I was gonna say Zeus. That man, I don't know.
No, just stay away from him. Just stay away from him.
You can't. He just shows up, and you're pregnant.
Yeah,
the third edition. It's awful.
The third edition Deities and
worst.
Demigods book had him at chaotic good, and I was like, that doesn't seem right.
No.
Not at all. Maybe chaotic neutral.
Yeah.
At the conservative end.
So, but yeah. And then just as a final tidbit as far as D&D news, so Dragon Stew concluded its Kickstarter today. Overwhelming success.
Did it reach its final stretch goal?
I believe it did. I believe it hit all of its stretch goals. So let's...
Even the last one that was like, oh my gosh, you guys, I can't imagine that this would get as amazing results as it did. Oh my gosh, you guys, this is everything that I would ever have wanted to put into a... there's no more stretch goals because I don't know what else to put in the book. Yeah.
So here we go. Let's see. Stretch goals... Oh, blam. So yeah, the final stretch goal was a new playable race, Harvestborn, which are all plant folk. Which ties into, you know, like a cooking sort of supplement. But yeah, Oath of Beauty Paladins. A cursed magical item, which is Lord Gordon's Ram Spear. It's basically a long spear imbued with the spirit of Gordon Ramsay. Who yells at you if you do bad cooking.
Imbued with what? I heard...
The spirit of Gordon Ramsay.
Okay.
Of Chef Ramsay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they raised a grand total of 115,000 euros.
Wow.
Out of a 4,000 euro goal. So yeah, runaway success. Absolutely fantastic. Looking forward to it.
Nice.
All right.
So,
yep.
Congratulations, Antonio.
Yes.
So yeah. Last up, just wanted to take some time to discuss kind of, so to keep this sort of gaming focused, but just taking a look at how, we've heard a lot about coronavirus in the news, but just taking a look at how it's kind of impacted the gaming community, in that we've seen now big events. So Game Developers Conference was in fact canceled, just because so many people kept dropping out of it. South by Southwest has been canceled, Emerald City Comic-Con, and now, as of today, well, it has been rescheduled. E3 is canceled for this year.
Yeah.
And so a lot of developers, at least ones that just weren't planning on doing a digital conference anyway, like Nintendo and Sony, are now basically going to do that. And they're talking about perhaps maybe doing like a live streamed performance, or live streamed event type thing. So it makes me wonder if at least for E3, they're still talking about having it next year. But if kind of like this is what sort of pushes more publishers to doing that instead of showing up and doing an awkward sort of stage.
Here's what we're doing. Here's when you'll see it.
Yeah.
Here's the video.
I'd rather they just do like Nintendo Direct style things rather than have that stupid convention.
Yeah. Because I know, so Yacht Club, makers of Shovel Knight, actually branched out and tried to experiment doing a Nintendo Direct style thing. And it was great. Like, they also kept, like, the same... So, back when, Iwata was doing them, and like they had kind of like that awkward energy, and it was like intentionally awkward and goofy. They kept that energy to it, and it was just like them like intentionally making long awkward pauses or like doing like these awkward handshake type stuff. It was great. And I would love to see a lot of companies move in that direction, and put out something that's like polished and it still showcases like a lot of stuff without having, just, these super awkward like moments of who are clearly like employees of the company clapping in the background, instead of like perhaps actual audience members. But then again, we lose moments like, Keanu Reeves getting on stage and telling people, you're breathtaking.
I mean, I guess you do miss little things like that.
But
that one, who's that? That lady, Japanese developer, that everyone loved. Remember?
Oh, I do remember.
I forget her name. But
I don't remember what publisher
came
it was
out,
for
and she was
either.
like super high energy and super adorable, and everyone loved her. And she was
do remember that. I wish I could remember her name. Or the publisher, because I don't remember who it was for. I don't
remember what the game. I remember it was like a spooky game.
It was a spooky
game.
Was it Ubisoft? No, it wasn't Ubisoft. I'm trying to. Was it Capcom?
No.
Does Capcom even go to E3 anymore?
Capcom is killing it. They don't need to do anything right now. They just need to keep putting out awesome games like they've been doing for the past year.
I think they might do like the PC one or whatever with like Monster Hunter. I feel like with Monster Hunter they bring stuff to E3, but I don't know.
Was it Ghostwire Tokyo at Bethesda E3?
That sounds right.
Oh, maybe that was
Ikumi Nakamura.
I don't know that name.
That sounds right.
And she's got
sounds Japanese.
She's got like just a cute little like black.
She's like wearing a black outfit. Yeah.
Yeah, she looks kind of like that.
Yes,
she was just like super high energy and like funny and adorable. She was like she was presenting like a pretty dark game.
Ghostwire Tokyo. Oh, she was the actual director for Ghostwire Tokyo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
See.
Yeah. And I think
watch her little E3 presentation. It's great.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like
lift up a positive energy lift up.
I feel like if you're doing something live, like you can have really great moments like that if you have people that like feed into that energy and have a good stage presence, or it can be awful. And we've seen that with like BlizzCon as well too. Like it's the difference between I'm drawing blanks on names. Yeah, it's the difference between you all have phones versus why can't I think of his name? It's a big, voice actor for Big Daddy Thrall and Varian.
Oh, Metzen.
Metzen, yes. Like two totally different energy and presenting styles and everything.
Because here's the thing. Metzen loved the game and cared about the game and put his
Yes.
like heart and passion into the game, and that came through when he talked about it.
Yeah.
I don't get that with Ian when Ian talks about it.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I think Ian's fine, but you don't get the same feel and energy that you did with Metzen.
Yeah. I think he's passionate about it, but it's he definitely does not have the stage presence that Metzen does.
Yeah.
Or say Ben Brode. Or not the same kind of stage presence, but a weird one in his own special way, one Jeff Kaplan.
Yes.
Yeah. Very different kind of stage presence, but all in all, like, yeah, that's an example of like the weird, quirky, like Nintendo awkward kind of stage presence that they do well. But so yeah, I'm interested to see what Microsoft ends up doing for that, because Phil Spencer talked about how they're looking into avenues for how to present stuff. The simple solution is just make what's basically like a demo reel, like a high quality demo reel of what you've got to present. I'm sure that you guys can handle doing that at Microsoft. Let's hope. So, but one interesting side effect I found is the discussion of this is on Twitter, at least, is all these articles resurfacing of the ye old Hakari blood plague. Yes. Coming back and like, oh, hey, guess what, guys? It's almost like this has been ways to figure out stuff like this has been extensively researched from World of Warcraft.
Well, so, I think ZG, whatever that was, is coming out soon in Classic within the month, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, but it's mostly because of coronavirus. People are like, going back and being like, oh, hey, remember when this happened in World of Warcraft and like we figured it out?
So you look confused, and we've definitely talked about this before on the podcast. So basically, there's this boss in World of Warcraft where he puts a blood curse on you, and the mechanic of the raid is if you're too close to people, it'll spread to them or whatever.
Yeah.
But it lasted long enough for you to be able to hearth back to wherever you were. So people would hearth back to their city or portal there or whatever.
I remember us talking about this,
it would spread to everybody in the
city,
used this particularly Ironforge.
Well, here was the other issue, and this was what caused the main outbreaks. Was it not only infected players, but it infected pets as well. And so what hunters were doing was, rather than letting their pet die from it,
transmit coronavirus.
Is they would, but this is this is how, like, for example, avian flu and swine flu develop, is that it crossed over from, it like mutated and crossed over from an animal species. And so they were noting even that similarity with this was hunters weren't cleansing the debuff from their pets and just desummoning them.
Oh, okay.
And the game wasn't then clearing the debuff either. So when they resummoned it back in Ironforge or Stormwind or Orgrimmar or wherever they were summoning it, it would summon back with the plague long after you had finished the boss fight and harked back and everything. And then how it worked was every time it ticked for damage, and it would tick like every second or 2 seconds or whatever, it would then check to see who you were next to. And if there were people close enough to you, it would then spread it to them.
Yeah, I remember us talking about this because they actually did use this model to like do research.
This phenomenon, was studied by epidemiologists to figure out how a society would react to, a pandemic of this proportion. And interesting things happened was that, like, basically servers were decimated because, like, you could not go near a city because low-level characters would just die from, like, 1 to 2 instances of damage. And so it was just, like, basically, had not been implemented in the game yet, but Ironforge and all these other cities looked like the Path of Glory, which for Warcraft lore nuts is a road made of the bones of Draenei. The floor was just covered in player skeletons, just littering all giant swaths of cities.
That doesn't sound safe to walk on.
Just because of the number of people that like, and it was like you could log in, and then all of a sudden you get hit with the blood plague and then die right away. If there was somebody there. So like it was strategies developed of people trying to quarantine off areas, telling people stay away from Ironforge. If you have the debuff, do not come into contact with other people. And then they also found that there were, because it's a game, that there were people that were trolling and like would get the debuff and then go chase down low level characters and kill them off. But the idea is like that could be replicated not with people seeking to intentionally like get people infected with coronavirus. Although I heard that there was an instance of that. Well, it could be that.
Like Typhoid Mary.
I did hear that there was also like this weird death cult in South Korea that was actually trying to do that. I don't know. That's probably unsubstantiated.
Those people get shot in the face real quick in real life.
Not before they spread the disease.
You can shoot from quite a ways away.
You don't know they're sick.
As some people have noted, more likely, at least in the United States, is number one, people not necessarily knowing if they have it or not, and they're a carrier, or people not having like the appropriate amount of sick time or whatever, and are like, I don't really know if I have it or not, but like I need my job, and so they continue to go to work. So it's like. It's not basically like,
welcome to Hell World 2020, the dystopian society we live in.
Yeah. So it achieves the same end result. It's just the intention isn't like as malicious. As basically people running around going like, haha, I'm going to kill all the noobs. Which is something that happens in Warcraft. Yeah.
No comment.
But
I'll be running down First Street.
Killing the noobs.
Okay, so
but yeah, so it's just between those two things, just wanted to kind of touch on that. One thing is I've seen a lot of folks wondering if something like BlizzCon and kind of trying to make predictions as to whether Blizzard will still go through with it or not, because we are kind of rapidly approaching the date at which they would announce whether BlizzCon's on or not yet. And I don't know. I think there is an argument to be made that like that if they like even if this thing is contained and sort of finished by the time BlizzCon would roll around, there's an argument that like it's kind of a quiet year for Blizzard right now, so they might use it as an excuse anyway to not do BlizzCon.
Yeah, I just don't want them to cancel Gen Con. I just...
Oh, I would not hold your breath.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So, yeah, I know other, a lot of, like, Gen Con, for example, is kind of we're taking a wait and see approach.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, let's put it this way, folks. If you're planning on going to some kind of big convention, say in the next 3 to 4 months, you might want to have a contingency plan, as far as if that convention gets canceled or rescheduled. So
yeah. Talk with your bosses, let them know this is your plan, let them know that it might get canceled, because that way you don't have to lose your vacation. That's the thing that I think about for a lot of the people that had like Emerald City Comic-Con tickets and things like that when got canceled or rescheduled. Like, these people already took their vacation. So be sure to if you are planning on doing stuff like that where you need time off from work, at least talk with your boss and be like, hey, this might not happen. Do we have a plan?
Yeah. So, but yeah. And as always, turn the page, wash your hands. It was Rocco's Modern Life shared that meme of Filbert. I think it's perhaps most appropriate right now. So just stay safe, stay clean, and who knows? Maybe we won't have to worry about this for longer than we would.
Longer than we usually do.
For longer than we usually do.
Not worried at all currently.
It's also, I mean, we are still currently in flu season as well, so it's not bad advice anyway. So, but yeah, that is going to wrap up the news for this week. So why don't we talk about really quick what's going on with 8-Bit Adventures? All right, so big thing this week is so I'm going to try something new. And normally there's going to be a Saturday edition of 8-Bit Adventures Plays. I'm going to make the first Saturday of the month Super Saturday. What this means is I'm going to play a Super Nintendo game on 8-Bit Adventures Plays on Saturday. So the question then is, what game do I play?
Chrono Trigger. It's the 25th anniversary of Chrono Trigger.
And you know what? So I was kind of, I had actually picked it up on Steam. So because for whatever reason it's still not available on Super NES Online or the Super NES Classic. Yeah. For whatever reason, I don't know. And
if you have an actual SNES, I have an actual Chrono Trigger cart.
I do have an actual SNES.
Yes.
I don't know how to hook it up to my computer is the issue.
Oh, yeah.
Is I would have to get a coaxial to HDMI converter somehow. But it's
exist?
I have it on Steam.
Oh, yeah.
So I picked it up. You know, it was on sale. It was like $7, which feels like a steal for Chrono Trigger. So yeah, I
like 80.
Yeah. So I'll be playing Chrono Trigger this Saturday. So it'll be the first Saturday of each month. Unless there's something going on that Saturday and I have to reschedule it, but it's basically the first Saturday that I would be doing 8-Bit Adventures Plays on that Saturday. I will be Super Saturday. So
cool.
Sometimes it might be A Link to the Past, might be Super Metroid, Super Mario World, Donkey Kong Country.
Double Dragon versus Battletoads.
I do not have that on any of those services. So
yeah, I don't believe it exists on them.
Breath of Fire 1 and 2 will be available.
Oh yeah.
And I think Secret of Mana is also, I think it's on the classic. So Secret of Mana.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Super Mario RPG.
Mm-hmm.
The original Star Fox. Maybe.
There's so many good games on the SNES. It's
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So just something to shake it up a little bit. If that turns out to be really popular, I may start doing more like themed days for streams. So maybe like a Stardew Sunday. Do a chill Stardew Valley stream on Sundays or something.
Nice.
So yeah. And if you see it and you really like it, give me some feedback. So as far as comics this week, patrons got a color comic just due to having to recover from traveling on Saturday and the time change. Just drawing and sketching a comic was not happening. Also getting a hutch delivered that day as well kind of put a hamper on that. But so there is a colored version of, I believe it's chapter 1-22 up for patrons. And then there is an art stream this week where, once again, going to be doing mini art for Papercraft Minis. And that's where I'm going to leave it up to you, the viewers, to decide what I do. Because right now, all I have on my list of to-do are trees. So, if you want to see trees, by all means, I'll oblige. But you'll be able to spend gold in the chat during the stream and just put in your vote for whatever you want. And what I'll do is I will take those into consideration and pick something fun and interesting. So yeah. So that's what we got going on there. Oh, and there was a Speedy and Monty comic that went up last night for patrons. So now when you also for new patrons, when you sign up to become a patron, as part of your email, you'll get a discount code for merch. That is the same code that has been present. It's Patreon just now put in functionality to include that as part of your welcome message. So when I get that set up, I think all current patrons will also get an email that has it. So that way you won't have to like dig through the posts that I have up to try and find that discount code. So.
Oh, so you mean like I can star it and actually like remember it the next time I make an order?
Yes.
Hey.
Yes. And as a reminder, that is a persistent code. It's not a one-time use.
Yeah.
So you can use that every time.
Yes.
So. Yeah. That wraps up everything for this week in 8-Bit Adventures. So now, why don't we get into Quest Log? So Josh,
Hey.
why don't we start with you? Because I've noticed that you've been streaming recently.
Yeah. Since I've got nothing better to do, I figured I might as well give it a shot and see what it's all about and figure it out. And I'm learning things along the way too, so that's actually a nice side benefit. So yeah, last week I started doing some streaming, and I was just playing a game. I was like, hey, you know what? I might as well stream it, or at least try to while I'm playing it. The first game I was playing it's called Final Fantasy Type 0. This was originally a PSP game.
Oh, interesting.
That they redid in HD for PS3, PS4, Steam, and Xbox, whatever, back in like 2014, 2015. So I think it originally came out in 2008 or 2009, maybe.
Okay.
Maybe in 2010. But then in 2015, it came out in HD. So I picked it up while I was still living in Korea at the time, and I played like a few hours of it, and I liked it, but for whatever reason, I stopped. And I saw it sitting in my Steam library, and I was like, I can remember kind of like this game, so I'll try to pick it up again. And I did, and I played through it, and I beat it a couple days ago. Well, beat it, because this game is meant to be played multiple playthroughs to get to see the entire story and like missing cutscenes.
Oh, so it's kind of like Fire Emblem Three Houses, where you got to play it.
Kind of, or like I guess you could say Nier Automata was the big one recently that was a lot like that. I played through it once and then watched on YouTube the videos of what I missed. Because even though I liked it, I didn't like it that much. It's a fine game. You could tell it was definitely a PSP game.
And it seems more like I was going to say action RPG. Yeah.
Action RPG. So definitely different from like the traditional Final Fantasy turn-based. And honestly, you can, from probably like the late 2000s till now, you can see the evolution of Final Fantasy moving away from turn-based into more action gameplay. Particularly now, if you look at the FF7 remake, you can kind of see where it's really gotten to at this point. And if you look at FF15 as well. But the gameplay's action RPG. So you're in military high school. It's 3 houses, but it's way darker, way grimmer. So the plot is there's a world war, and you're in this military school, and you're part of this special class of super talented cadets. And there's like a lot of like mystery as to like why you can use certain magic and other students can't, and why you keep getting revived even though you die. And like there's like when people die, you forget them, so that's how you know a person's dead. If you can't remember them, that means they died. And there's all this like weird world building stuff, but it's super grim. There's a lot of blood. People just straight up get shot and die all the time. So right up my alley. I'm totally into that.
So I was gonna say, what you're saying is that it's Fire Emblem 3 houses if every house is blue lions.
Or Black Eagles.
Or Black Eagles, yeah.
Yeah, Edelgard goes pretty hard in that second half.
It's just post time skip Edelgard and Dimitri.
And then sometimes
nobody else in the houses.
So how the game's structured is, the main game is like you have these story missions where you go out and like recapture territory or cities or towns and try to push back the enemy and try to resolve the war overall. In between, so it's kind of like Fire Emblem or Persona, where you have in between missions where you can do stuff like do extra missions or talk to people. Those parts aren't fleshed out really well, so it's really not as good. That's one of the things I wish they had fleshed out more on. And there's not really good character moments. Like you don't really get to know the people in your class very well, like you do in Fire Emblem.
Yeah.
Because the ending, I'm not going to spoil it, but the ending, they really want to hit you hard with it. But I'm just like, you didn't connect me enough to the characters for me to care as much. It's a good ending. It's just you needed to do more early on to make it really get the emotional attachment. So yeah, you have like there's 14 students in your class. Each one is like a different Final Fantasy class. One's the thief, one's the samurai, one's the whatever, one's the dragoon, and you can pick 3 of them at a time to do missions. And it's a neat game. It's good. It's fine. It's just I wish it was just more parts that were fleshed out more. It's decent. I would recommend it. It doesn't take terribly long to beat, and if you find it on like a Steam sale cheap and you like Final Fantasy games, give it a shot. It's definitely the darkest, grimmest Final Fantasy straight up out of all of them. Which
whoa, even more than that Vincent Valentine game.
Oh, Dirge of Cerberus! I own that. It's out on my thing somewhere. I'll never play it, but that's just trying to be edgy.
Yeah,
this game's legitimately brutal and grim at times.
Yeah,
like they literally drop an Ultima bomb, an atom bomb on a like city and blow it away. It's pretty real. I mean, and you get that. I mean, Japan a lot of time references a lot of World War II stuff in a lot of their media, so you definitely get a feel for that in that game. And Sid is the bad guy in this Final Fantasy. Sid's the big bad. There's always a Sid in Final Fantasy. He's the big bad in this one. So yeah, decent game. It was neat and a different experience for Final Fantasy. I would like to see them make another one in this and see in this day and age, like 10, 12 years later, if they could flesh it out more and see games like Persona or Three Houses where you could really flesh out the characters more, because they wanted the overall plot to be more interesting where it really wasn't. They should have done more of the characters. And then the other game I've been playing a lot, which I'm super surprised I really, really like, it's called Ys. I never know how to pronounce it, so I'm going to say Ys or Ys. It's Ys, I think.
I think it's Ys.
I think it's Ys. It's YS. Ys 8, Lacrimosa of Dana.
That is certainly that's a title.
That's a title.
That's a title.
It is a title. Dana is one of the characters in the game.
Okay.
I don't know what Lacrimosa means. I don't know. Maybe it's a made-up word. Who cares? Another action RPG. I had heard about this a while ago when it came out. Again, this was another Vita or PSP game originally, I think.
Yeah.
And I think in 2018 it was released on Steam. It's come out on Switch. It's come out on PS4 as well. I had heard about it because it's a lot of time. It came out about the same time as Xenoblade Chronicles 2. And a lot of times it's compared to it because it's got, I guess, a similar type of open world and almost a similar type of look to it, I think. Definitely the same, like, kind of colorful palette and world. And I was a little worried because it seems a bit on the weeb side of things, which
also like Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
Exactly. But sometimes if it's too tropey, I can't deal and I just won't play it. But this hasn't been too bad with the tropes. The story's a bit bland at times, but it's getting more interesting now with a little bit of mystery. I don't imagine there's going to be any crazy plot twists, but I don't think that's the point. This game, I think, is all about the gameplay. Because I will say the gameplay is fantastic. It is such a smooth and fun game to play. So again, action RPG, you have your square button or whatever your button is. It's just your attack button, but you also get all these. You have 4 different skills you can equip at any given time on each character in your party, and it uses like a certain amount of this gauge you have, but it's easy to build up. So you feel like you're doing lots of different stuff, and it feels fun and it feels dynamic. and you can switch between your characters on a button tap. It's super easy. So like the gameplay and the combat is super super fun. The plot is, you're this guy, a doll, this red hair sword guy instead of blue hair sword guy. Not Fire Emblem. We're making a difference here. Red haired sword guy.
Well, it's so you're Roy instead of Marth. That's all.
Right. And apparently, this is my first time ever playing an Ys game, even though they've been around for a while.
Yeah.
Apparently, this character, all the Ys games are about a doll, pretty much, and his like just adventures around the world. And I'll say this: I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything not playing any other games. You could pick this game up and just be
that's cool. Okay.
And fine. I think there's kind of some hints to some other stuff about it, but like nothing that I feel like I need to go research. So like this could stand alone. So you're on a ship and you're like, you and your buddy are going to sail to this place that you want to go to for your next adventure, and you get attacked by a kraken.
Boat in space, right?
Yeah, exactly. Great skybox, very starry skybox.
Yeah, so for the viewers' benefit, I was watching Josh stream this, and all I could see was I don't know if it was just the viewpoint that you had, but I wasn't able to tell that there was ocean, and it just looked like it was big starry night sky, and then it was just like black or whatever, and so I was just like, oh, it's a boat in space. It's just Spelljammer again. So, and then you like turn the camera around or whatever, and then I could see that there was like waves and
the
stuff.
edge of the boat and looked over, like, no, there's water.
Oh, just regular boat. Okay.
That would be cool. But yeah, so you're on a ship and you're just kind of working your way to where your next adventure, but you get attacked by a kraken, ship crashes, and you wash up on shore on this island that's like, oh, it's this island that's a bad island that nobody goes to and nobody ever comes back from. So pretty generic. But the whole thing is you're trying to look for other survivors, you're trying to build like a village, and then you're eventually trying to find a way to get off the island. But while you're doing this, there's like monsters, and you start having these dreams about this girl in the past, Donna.
Yeah, those dreams were weird sequences.
Yeah. So basically you have visions of this woman from the past. And again, as the game keeps going, it unfolds and you learn more about that and what the deal was. And like right now I'm kind of right in the middle of that whole deal and figuring out what the deal was and what the civilization was and why it is or isn't there now or what happened to it. You fight a lot of dinosaurs on the island. There's a lot of dinosaur fighting. Yep.
Nice.
They're called primordials. I'm like, no, they're just dinosaurs.
They're just dinosaurs.
They're just dinosaurs.
Don't make up silly names and just call them
don't
dinosaurs.
Need to call them anything different. Don't call them primordials. Don't call them saurians. They're dinosaurs.
Yeah.
So yeah, you spend a lot of time like just searching for other survivors, and each time like a new survivor comes back, they usually do something in your village for you. You might find the blacksmith who washed up on shore and now she can enhance your weapons and make armor, or you find a tailor and she can make you accessories, or you find a doctor and he can make you potions or whatever. So yeah, and you find there's a bunch of different people, and as you find more people you can like unlock more places, because like maybe there's a log blocking your way, but sometimes you'll need 10 people in your village to help you move the log, so it kind of gates you in that way.
Okay.
But yeah, that's the basic gist of the story without me trying to spoil anything. You're on a mysterious island, you're fighting a lot of monsters, you're trying to find survivors, you're trying to find a way off, but at the same time there's this weird mystery about a past civilization that was on the island that you're trying to figure out.
So it's lost?
Kind of. I love that show, even though everybody hates the ending. I kind of thought it was fine, but anyways, I really love Lost.
Are there polar bears on this island along with the dinosaurs?
Are there bears? I don't know. There's lots of different monsters. It's fun, and there's like, so sometimes you'll have like what's called a raid, and like you'll just be doing stuff out on the island. And you'll get this message from the parrot. The parrot in your town will come and like warn you, be like, "Hey, the town's under attack." So you can fast travel back and you do a raid. So it's basically like it's a wave challenge. So waves of monsters will come and like you get scores and all that. And then there's the reverse where you'll have hunts, which is kind of like the same thing, just reversed. Now you go out and try to like find monster nests and put an end to them before they can come to your village. Mm-hmm. So there's like different levels and difficulties of that. And there's like a high score where you can get different ranks and you get rewards for that. It's cool. And another cool thing about the combat is each character has a different, like, they're either a slashing, bludgeoning, or piercing type character. That's what their things do.
Yeah.
And a lot of different enemies have a weakness to that type of character. So it kind of makes it more dynamic and fun, because in battles, different enemies will come and you'll see what their weakness is, and you have to switch to like break them or lower their defenses so you can do full damage on them.
Yeah.
So again, I think the big thing on this game is just the combat and the gameplay in it is so fun, and it feels so smooth. I'm super surprised. So I'm pleasantly surprised at how
nice,
decently good this game is. Because I saw a couple of reviews where people were like, "This game's way better than Xenoblade Chronicles 2," and I'm like, story-wise, I don't know, because I'm not gonna play Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I watched all the like videos about the end, and yeah, it's Xenogears basically and Xenosaga, because that guy just makes the same game over and over again.
Yeah,
which is fine with me.
And it's Xenoblade also has a lot of weird extra subsystems that I think overcomplicate.
And I don't like the combat in Xenoblade, in any of them, honestly. I didn't care for it that much in the first one. I played and beat Chronicles X, whatever, and it's basically the same combat. And I didn't care for it. It just feels very samey to me. Like, you figure out, here's the things I do in the right order to knock them down or do whatever it is I got to do to them to get my combo of abilities in a row.
Yeah, it's basically so. Like, yeah, the issue that game has, or that series has, is that combat is basically structured around chain toppling, and how to figure out how to chain topple, because it's like with any RPG, is if you figure out how to chain crowd control on an enemy, right, and especially with effects that aren't broken on damage, well then that why wouldn't you do that the entire time?
Yeah. Or this, I mean, you're exploiting like the weaknesses by weapon type or whatever using characters. But again, it's very fast paced, and you're moving and like in 3D, and you're jumping around, and it's and it feels smooth and it feels good. So I mean, it's a lot of fun to play it. It's interesting. And
got a big sailor guy that wields an anchor. There we go.
Yes, you literally find him, and he's just like, I found this on the beach. Like,
yes.
Like, okay. Yep. And I'll give it this credit too. The voice acting is really good, actually.
Nice.
The voice acting in Final Fantasy Type 0, I don't know. Matt Mercer's in it. His voice acting's okay. Yeah.
Well, of course.
He's the bow and arrow guy.
Nice.
Actually, Sam Riegel's in it a lot. He does a lot of like NPCs, and I think Liam O'Brien. I think Liam O'Brien is the bad Sid. I can't remember. But a bunch of the people are in it. But
nice.
The lip syncing's not quite on, and some of the voice acting is very bland, and it doesn't feel very good. Mm-hmm. But this one, all the emotions there, and it's like the right tone, and it feels good and it feels appropriate. So I'll give the game big credit on that too.
Actually,
and I think I'm getting close to the end of this game, and I'm not sure what I'm gonna play next. I'm thinking I actually might play Persona 4 Golden on my PS Vita, if I can find a way to stream that. But I think that's what I'm going to do next, because I'm kind of looking forward to the Persona 5 Royale that's coming out, even though it comes out like a week before Final Fantasy 7 Remake. That's the other thing I did last week. I went to GameStop and pre-ordered my Final Fantasy 7 Remake finally.
Nice.
Deluxe edition.
Nice.
I get the steel box.
So I'm just looking up more of the voice actors for Ys 8. So we have that we looked up Patrick Sates, who voices Dogi. Doji?
Yes.
Dogi?
I can't remember.
Doge.
He's whatever.
But he's
a guy.
Yes.
He's Adal's buddy who he travels with all the time, but he's like, I'm not gonna fight with you, I'm just gonna manage the village.
Okay. So yeah, he's Ulbrich in Octopath Traveler. He's Dio Brando. He's like all of the minor bad guys in Three Houses. He's like Jaritza and the Death Knight and somebody else. But I don't recognize a lot of the other names. Although Chris Hackney is listed here, and he
It just
I
I just feel like
Chris Hackney also did stuff for Fire Emblem Three Houses. So
I feel like this is more like a Zelda game than it is an RPG to me.
I could see that.
Because there's also like to like climb the vines, you need a certain item equipped to do it, or to run across the swamp, you have to have the certain boots. And,
okay, yeah.
And I said this while I was streaming. So that's one of the things I hate about Zelda games is you have to switch items to do certain things in dungeons. And I hate having to go into a menu and switch items or just one at a time. Once I get it, I should have it forever. This game, not quite there, but and I'm hoping it keeps going. You can get upgrades to have multiple of those types of items equipped. Adventuring gear, it's called, equipped at the same time. So like right now I can have two different things. So I can have the thing that helps me climb the vines and the thing that has me run across the swamps without being slowed, which is nice instead of just having one at a time. That's when I started comparing it to like a Zelda game where like, oh, if Zelda was more like this, I'd be way more into it. Plus it's got like the leveling and all that stuff too, and buying equipment and all that. But yeah, it's I would give this game a high recommendation. It's a lot of fun, and it's not as weebish as I thought it would be.
Cool.
Yeah.
Courtney.
Stardew.
Yeah.
That's all I got. I got into the next season. I got into summer, and I planted all my starfruit. Took me a day and a half to do it. There is over 1,000 different plots of land for different individual seeds to be planted.
That's too much farming.
No, just
that's
the
too
right
much
amount.
farming.
Just the right amount. It only
gotta
takes you
gotta
one day
figure
to harvest and replant everything.
You gotta just turn that all into like coffee, and then just have a bunch of huts where you just brew coffee.
No.
Or wine.
Not profitable enough.
Yeah, that's true. Coffee takes too much micromanagement.
Coffee's not profitable enough.
What you need to put your entire greenhouse filled with ancient fruit. And then you have just one hut devoted to barrels of wine for that, because that's the moneymaker right there.
That is the true moneymaker. Right at this moment in time, I have devoted to strawberries. Strawberry wine is being made in the quarry, because I've just taken that over.
What? In the quarry?
Yeah.
Like on the other side of town?
Yeah.
Why are you putting barrels of... Why are you putting kegs over in the quarry?
A lot of area that I can do that with.
That's crazy.
Sean, I think that you underestimate the actual...
So here's the other thing, though. By doing that means that you're not getting ore spawns in the quarry.
I understand that.
Okay.
I don't need any ore spawns.
Okay. See, I constantly need ore spawns, so.
Oh no, I have ore coming out my butt. No,
you should
go to the
doctor. Beat me to it. So okay.
No, I am not needing at all. So no, I am saving up for that clock that the wizard sells.
Yeah.
That's 10 million.
Yep.
It makes it so no debris shows up on my farm. I'm at 9.44 mil.
See, I don't mind debris because that's also how I get wood and stone. So, but yeah.
I just go to the mines, or I just go. Well, now I just can go to the secret wood every day and get the hardwood and convert it to regular wood.
Whatever.
So it's not like, yeah. It's not a difficult thing to do to get resources.
Okay.
Like that.
Well,
I'm focusing on wine here, man.
All right. And then for me, so I finished up the main storyline for Witcher 3.
Nice.
Boy, is that one wild ride. Holy moly. Completing basically every subquest, every side quest, and every point of interest. I also just finished up Heart of Stone, and just started the second expansion. Heart of Stone, also absolute wild ride. Yeah, very much the there are no good choices here.
Nice.
So, yeah. Yeah, one of those things where, especially with the main storyline, is just the choices that you make early on in the game drastically alter what happens at the end of the game, kind of a thing.
Key to Yennefer's room, common item. Look at it.
Yeah.
No, I've seen it. Yep.
But just like, and whether like you pick up certain side quests or not, and how those play out, kind of a thing. So, I mean, a little spoiler, but like, there's a quest that you can pick up to where a bunch of people are trying to basically off King Radovid. And it's like, oh, well, okay. I mean, yeah, he is not great, let me tell you. That's one way of putting it, I suppose.
Is that Ciri's dad?
No. That's Emperor, I don't know his last name.
Okay, yeah.
Radovid's the one, he's in, not Novigrad, but the other Oxenfurt or whatever. But he's basically like insane.
Oh, okay.
But like he's a brilliant tactician, so like he's helping the North win the war. But at the same time, he's also like randomly killing people. Also decided to throw in his lot with the Church of the Eternal Fire, which has decided like basically non-humans and magic practitioners are all evil and need to be put to the stake. And need to be burned at the stake.
Well, F you too, man.
Yeah. So that becomes kind of a major point. And it's like at the end of the game, like if you decide to go through with the side quest to go through with the assassination plot, like you basically save all the non-humans and the mages, but spoilers, the North loses and Nilfgaard like takes over everything. Whereas like if you let him live, like the North pushes back Nilfgaard, but basically like all the elves, dwarves, halflings, and mages just leave. Like there's nobody left in the North, because otherwise they would all die. So it's things like that, or like there was a side quest that I missed, that unfortunately like is like time sensitive, and it's related to Ciri, where it's like doing something with her father. And so, like, if you do, like, that side quest, it also affects the outcome of the game to a certain degree, where, like, he might just get assassinated by his own people. I think it's, like, related to one of Ciri's endings, where, like, if you do that side quest and then get, like, a bad ending, but not the worst ending, quote-unquote, like, she becomes Empress. So, yeah. But, yeah. Whoa. Absolute wild ride.
So the real question, who is your love interest, Yennefer or Trish?
I picked Yennefer.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong either way, I say, but
so the issue is like I haven't played Witcher 1 or 2, so like they keep and that's so unlike Is8, I feel like I'm missing a lot. Because I feel like there's all these events that happened, and I'm just like, I don't know. And if you don't have a save file, what they do is like in the like basically intro, they ask you like about all or when you get to Nilfgaard or something, they ask you all these events that happened, and for me, I'm just like, I don't know. Sure, I've killed this guy. Oh, so you killed the prince or whatever. And it's like, oh boy.
Hey.
What am I getting myself into here? And like, what has become of so and so? And it's like, I let him go. And it's like, so you let go the evil murderer so and so in your quest for power. And it's like, oh god, like, man, I should have read a wiki or something to figure out like what would I have done in Witcher 2 to do this. So yeah, because I feel like that might also influence reactions to certain NPCs and everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like I probably should have done some research before just starting that game up. But yeah, so I'm playing through the last expansion. It's like Blood and Wine or whatever.
Yep.
And basically unlocked some like master enchantments, so that's cool. I think my favorite one is like all food effects have their duration doubled.
That seems good.
But everything tastes like
Actually
pierogies.
affects you?
So food, Courtney, gives you a buff, and it gives you like healing over time.
Okay.
And so what this does is like it essentially does double the amount of healing, but it does so by doubling the duration. So like if something would give you like 40 health over 20 seconds, this will give you 80 health over 40 seconds. Right? I did that right. And so there's also a perk that you can get where it also food buffs lasts for 20 minutes. So it's now that like all I have to do, it's basically I'm trying to set it up so that I have as many permanent buffs as possible. So I just like eat a food and now I don't have to worry about that buff for 40 minutes of like actual gameplay time. But the interesting side effect is now all food tastes like pierogies.
You say that like it's a bad thing.
Well, it's just funny in that like, so food will have its own little icon in your inventory, but the moment you put it on your hotbar, it changes the icon to a pierogi. Another one that I have is like I automatically deflect arrows.
That's good.
So now it's just this like interesting picture of Geralt just like slowly walking toward archers and just like with no weapons drawn, and archers just like can't hit him. It's great. And then another one, that when I use like a whetstone and an armorer's table, that those buffs are now permanent. So,
Oh wow.
Went focusing on potions. I like the potion game, and playing around with that. So it's like if I consume a potion, I also activate another potion for free. So it's just like I'm just gonna activate a whole bunch of potions and get as many buffs as I can. I don't know what they're gonna be, but we'll figure something out. So yeah. And then while we were on vacation, I started Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag on Switch. And oh, how I missed that game. Again, I don't actually care about all the assassin parts of that game. I just want to run around and be a pirate.
Yep.
No. Let's make that even better. You just want to go around and do boat stuff.
I mean, it's also like digging up treasure chests and stuff is also fun.
Okay, but you don't want to do like the, pillaging parts of being a pirate. You want to do the adventuring parts.
Yeah, the pillaging part's still kind of fun. I don't necessarily care that much about like having to tail somebody just out of conversation range and listen in on their conversation, and then duck around the corner and hide from guards and that sort of stuff. It's like, no. But I also feel like because I've played through the game and finished the game before, like I know how to play the game now, so I also know that like basically the like easiest way to complete the game is to just like block and counterattack. Because enemies will give you like, number one, enemies will attack you one at a time. And enemies will like signal when they're going to attack, so that all you have to do is just like push A and then immediately push Y, and it's you block and then kill, rather than like spending a whole bunch of attacks trying to kill somebody. So I feel like I've kind of broken the game, because like I went through and just like cleared out all the stuff in an area, and then like half the time I'm not even doing the stealth stuff and just like walking in with like 2 swords drawn and just like blocking all the guards, killing them off, and just like laying waste to an entire company, looting them all, and then getting the treasure chest for like the meager amount of gold that I was going to get from them. But yeah, it's like I have a halfway upgraded ship at this point, and like I feel like I still have just started the game. So I'm just going around just blowing like smaller ships. I'm just one-shotting. Or my favorite part is I have a ram on the front of my ship, so I just drive right through them without stopping. And it's just like, oh, gunboat, I don't care. And just roll right over them. So that's fun. I can't wait to do the legendary ships, and getting further into the game with more creative methods for things. So yeah. And then Slay the Spire, played a lot of that on vacation, unlocked the 3rd character, who is an automaton. He's like an awakened robot that gets all orbs. That's a lot of fun. It's a lot of very tricky gameplay in there. I've only completed 1 successful climb of the Spire, and that was with like the rogue type character, just because all of her cards can be like free and let you draw cards. So I was basically like playing my entire deck every turn.
Nice.
And I feel like that's how you have to win the game. Because I still haven't even come close with the warrior type guy.
I watched some speed run of that in like some ludicrous amount of time.
Yeah. It's I don't know. I feel like I'll need to watch that speed and just be like, how do I actually play this game? Because I feel like I'm
under 10 minutes or something. It was like,
I feel like I'm still not doing it correctly.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, and then I, rather than trying to wait and see if Animal Crossing is going to come out with their fancy Joy-Cons, I took Courtney's advice and just ordered some mint Joy-Con shells on Amazon, and will be installing them myself over the weekend. They cost about a quarter of the price of what I would pay if those Joy-Cons were available in the States, and assuredly, I'm going to wager maybe about a 1/5 to a 1/10 of what they would cost to import from Japan. So
yeah.
And then looking forward to Animal Crossing coming out. So definitely going to have some extended streams of that when it comes out.
I'm not an Animal Crossing guy, and I'm not a Doom guy, but I have liked the crossover between the 2 communities on Reddit.
Yes.
Supporting each other, because the 2 games come out on the same day.
Yes.
Oh, I loved.
So there's been a lot of like fan art of a lot of crossover art between Animal Crossing and Doom.
Yes.
Yeah,
Isabelle as a Doom guy is fantastic.
I actually saw one that
They
was
should
absolutely adorable. Of like
they should put Rip and Tear, the Doom metal song, into Animal Crossing, but in Animal Crossing like style.
You know what? I'm sure. So there's a guy that does on YouTube who does like KK Slider remixes of popular songs, and I feel like that would be a fun thing to do for him.
Yeah.
It was up until Super Bowl. One of his remixes was the only version of Old Town Road that I have ever heard, and it was a KK Slider remix of Old Town Road. So, but yeah. And before we get too late, since we have been running for quite some time, I think we're gonna call that here. So, folks, thank you for listening to our podcast. If you'd like to see more content or listen to more content from 8-Bit Adventures, check out 8-bitadventures.com. Over there, you can find podcast streams, videos, comics, artwork, and more. If you'd like to help support that content, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/8bitadventures. Over there, you can get exclusive content, early access to content, discount on merch, and special access to Tales of Jamora related things. So,
yeah.
Our opening theme is One Up by Professor Shy Guy. You can find his work over at professorshyguy.bandcamp.com. And with that, as always, have fun, everyone. Happy gaming. And enjoy
go to
your pie cake.
twitch.tv/damnanimal if you want to see high quality JRPG streams.
Also, fun fact is I do have auto host set up to host Josh so that you can watch it here too. So but yeah, absolutely. Go watch Josh's channel and give him some support. I would if I wasn't working.
Yeah. I stream during the afternoon, and I'm trying to do more evening ones as well too. But
yeah. So
yeah.
But yeah, because 8-Bit Adventures, we're a small streamer, and we want to help support other small streamers. So boom, there we go.
All right.
So yeah. Bye everybody.
Enjoy your pie cakes. Bye everybody.
Bye.